I really love the Switch. It's been my go-to console for modern gaming since it launched, and so I've been pretty invested in the Switch 2 that's coming out later this year. Recently, Nintendo announced hands-on events across the world with one in my area in Toronto, and I managed to get lucky enough to have an invitation to go downtown and try out the Switch 2 along with a bunch of other fans. So in this video, I wanted to show you how it went and share my thoughts after finally having a chance to play the Switch 2 in person. I don't know if this is going to be like a vlog or anything, probably not, but let's just go check it out. So I'm finally back and able to share my thoughts, so let's go right into it. The first section of the tour was a waiting area where you could take photos of the console and accessories, and some staff would let you hold a demo console to mess around with. At first glance, it really is the Switch 2. The console doesn't feel much better or different than the first Switch. Comparing it to the OLED model, it's pretty much just bigger and stronger. The biggest improvements from a hardware standpoint were really just small quality of life stuff. The kickstand is more flexible and has more range, and the Joy-Cons pop on and off magnetically. The attachment felt pretty sturdy, and it seemed to be stronger than they were on Switch 1, so there isn't as much wiggling room. I also noticed the grips have no beveling here, and so when you hold them, they just stick out of the sides. I didn't get to try a Joy-Con with the grips on to see if that would be uncomfortable though. Buttons and sticks feel a lot more comfortable in general, and have a bit more give to them compared to the clickiness of the original Switch. The weight was a bit much, but the staff mentioned that the harness adds a bit of it, so it's hard to say. I also remember when the Switch 2 was first announced that I was kind of worried about the pin connector for the Joy-Con getting damaged, but it seems like it's actually pretty tucked in there and it probably won't really take any damage in the future. One thing that caught me right away were the sizes of the Pro Controllers. While the Joy-Con are a little bigger than they used to be, the Pro Controllers are a bit smaller, a lot like they did with the Xbox Series X controllers. The plus button also sticks out instead of being flush with the front of the controller, so it's a little different there too. None of the games at the demo used the inside triggers because I think they're exclusively for manual settings. I did really like the Switch Pro controller, but people that were saying that the sticks glide in some special way, I think we're just kind of getting hyped. The controllers are all pretty comfortable, but I didn't really have any huge opinions about them. They're just better a little bit in most ways. One thing that I thought was pretty nice is that the cartridge cover comes out a lot easier than it used to. I found that with the OLED Switches, it was kind of annoying to pull that hinge open, but it's much easier on Switch 2. I also had a chance to try out the GameCube controllers. They were about what you'd expect if you've ever used any of the other retro controllers Nintendo's done for Switch Online. It's nearly identical to a GameCube controller, but with more matted material in the plastic and maybe slightly smoother triggers. Once we were done messing with the systems, we were put into the first of 4 areas. The event was about 2 hours long, and the first 3 portions had one-on-one demos with Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. Something to note was that when I went by myself, I got paired up with another guy who also was on his own. The first 2 areas were for Mario Kart World. First was a straightforward versus race. I've played a lot of Mario Kart 8, and I was surprised how immediately different Mario Kart World feels to control. The races were locked at 100cc, but the car handling felt more realistic in the sense that each kart has a bit more weight to it. It's going to take some getting used to for sure, but I didn't hate it. I also had a good chance to mess around with the new boost mechanics in the open world while waiting for the knockout races to start. I'm excited to see what people do with the trick system in the future, but with my 5 minutes of experience, it was really hard to tell when and where the jumping was good to use. The huge increase in the players on one race will also have an impact in the gameplay. I don't have footage of the knockout race I did, but at one point I got absolutely pelted by 4 or 5 items right in a row, which just completely killed my chance at winning the race. Not that that's never happened in a Mario Kart game, but with new modes, track design, and coins and flying items everywhere, this new Mario Kart feels more party gamey than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe does. I just kind of prefer my kart racers with a little bit more skill involvement, but again with these demos, it's way too early to tell. I'm cautiously excited for Mario Kart World, but in this short little demo, I couldn't really see where the price tag was coming from. If I had to be real, it feels like a new Mario Kart, and the new features are more worrying than inspiring. The knockout mode feels like a fun new feature, but the courses at times just were so wide to accommodate these new racers. I'm really hoping that at 150 or even 200cc it feels a bit more fun and exciting, but at 100cc, which the demo was at, it was kind of slow at times. I think Mario Kart World is going to be a really good game, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if Nintendo is justified in the price hike. As a lifelong Mario Kart fan, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Next up was Donkey Kong, and I have some real thoughts about this one. Having a solid 20 minutes to run around in, I skipped through most of the cutscenes and went through to this demo stage. DK really seems to be somewhere between Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. The big bananas you collect have tons in common with the moons from Mario, but the control scheme and the pacing feels a bit more like Zelda. The game controls well and seems to have a cool concept, but I'm not sure if I'm picking up what Nintendo's putting down here. I was having fun, I think, but the game had these weird frame drops in the transitions, and the controls are just a bit funny to me. It's sort of direction-based with each face button controlling where DK's going to punch. It reminds me of how when Zelda came out, it was kind of cumbersome to run and then jump. I might be exaggerating the control problems here. It's not that bad, it's just I'm not really sure if I like the gameplay enough to get this one day one. I just felt like I was kind of digging around, and if the game doesn't really expand on these ideas in a meaningful way, it might not really stick the landing for me personally. Either way, I think I'm just not really into the whole vibe of the game, and I wasn't really the biggest Mario Odyssey stan either, so your value might vary. Collecting the bananas was fun at first, but I need some good platforming challenges along with these hit a button to get a banana kind of things. My highlight of the demo was actually finding an old DK character, and also when I dug into a wall and just fell off the stage. But again, these are sort of novelties, and I'm not sure if DK Bonanza is gonna really go the distance here. I just spent a lot of time moving from one shiny object to another without really thinking about it. Just monkey go burr kind of situation. I'm gonna say that if you love Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey for the exploration and collectathon elements, instead of the puzzles and platforming, this might be your game of the year. Also if you like monkeys, I guess. After DK and Mario Kart, they took us to a free roaming area. Basically, all of the big launch window games were there to test out, and you're allowed a max of 6 demos out of the dozen or so games there. First, I went to Metroid Prime 4. This was the 120 FPS version, and the booth was set up to try the new mouse controls. For starters, Metroid looks awesome and runs flawlessly. It's certainly a Switch game on Switch 2 hardware, but nonetheless, the art style really carries it. It was a bit unreal to see the frame rate maintain 120 the entire time, and it was just very pretty. The swap functionality for the mouse control was also super quick, and it lets you go in between the two instantly, which was pretty cool. But I am sorry to say that the mouse aiming was not it for me. The Joy-Cons are a bit too thin, and to be using that, I immediately noticed that my hands were kind of contorting in a way that is probably going to hurt me in an hour or so. Plus, you still need to use your thumb to hit the face buttons for the morph ball and the scanner. It just doesn't seem that intuitive. The gameplay with gyro controls, though, was perfectly fine. It feels just like Metroid Prime Remastered did, and I ended the demo feeling pretty excited to try the whole game. Metroid Prime 4 was probably my favorite thing at the show, but the mouse controls were a bit of a disappointment. After Metroid, I spent some time at the GameCube booth, trying out a bit of Wind Waker and Soul Calibur 2. The GameCube controller I already talked about, but the emulation itself was pretty solid. I do sort of wish that the Switch 2 got even more anti-aliasing in these games, since there are still a little bit of noticeable jaggies, but maybe I'm just spoiled by Dolphin. I did feel a little bit of input lag in Wind Waker though, and I'm just hoping that that's okay at launch. Still, both these games look great, and it's cool to see them, and I'm excited to see the rest of the games on Switch 2. After that, I hopped into a bit of Street Fighter 6, which was fun, but I don't have many opinions. They didn't have Terry unlocked, which surprised me since it's supposed to be the complete version with the DLC included. I mean, what can you do? Eventually, the staff showed me that tucked off in the back were the mature rated games, Yakuza 0 and Cyberpunk 2077. Yakuza looked like a solid port, but I didn't feel the need to try it. Instead, I got a really in-depth demo of Cyberpunk. Big shoutouts to the CDPR community manager that was there, that spoke to me through my entire demo and let me ask all kinds of questions about the game. Also, shout out to the Nintendo team member that just sat there and recorded 10 minutes of footage. If you're wondering why you're seeing a lot of this gameplay in specific, it's because they recorded a lot for me. This demo was a side quest in the Phantom Liberty DLC that I haven't really played yet, but I had a great time with it. It did run into some frame issues at times, and in fairness, it was on quality mode, but it is running off a tablet, right? Sadly, there weren't any handheld demo kiosks, but they did mention that a lot of people were feeling the same way. For the record, it was the only game at the show that had a full-on work-in-progress label at the screen at all times. She also mentioned that they were supporting physical media, and of course, Cyberpunk is coming all on the cartridge. CDPR are the only third-party company that's still selling complete copies of their games on Switch, and if you're a fan of physical media, I hope you support this one. There might be a few others that I'm misremembering, but as far as I know, they're the only third parties. I've already played Cyberpunk before on PC, but having this one along with cross-save features really had me dying to jump back in. I think once we see it in handheld mode, it'll be much more impressive. By the time I was done with Cyberpunk, I didn't really have much time left, and I'd pretty much checked everything I wanted to anyways. Drag Drive, or Drag X Drive, whatever it is, and the Zelda Switch 2 edition seemed interesting to try out, but I didn't have enough time, so I just roamed around and took photos. I brought my Game Boy camera along, and I was happy to see that a lot of the staff from Nintendo knew what it was and they were telling each other about it. It was pretty fun. So here are the first few photos of the Switch 2 in the world, taken with a Game Boy. Again, this is a huge thank you and appreciation for the staff that were so nice that let me take a picture with these things, run around, take a photo with me. It was just really nice, honestly. Also, a big thank you to the guy that showed me that the Game Boy camera is actually in Welcome Tour, and we took a photo of that too. I had less than a few minutes left, and we just ran over to the part in the game and snapped the photo. After that, I did one last quick loop, looked at how small the Switch camera is, and then made my way out. They also gave me this cool little bag. All in all, I just, again, want to put out a big thank you to all the nice people I met there. It's always great to see how happy everyone is at these sort of events. It's just a good time, really. I don't really think that, all in all, I'm sold on getting the Switch 2 right now, but it's not that I could get a pre-order anyway. It is, though, a really good piece of hardware that I'm probably going to pick up eventually. So I hope you enjoyed coming on this little trip with me, and maybe you learned a thing or two about the new Switch. I know there are a billion videos coming out right now about these events. I just hope that maybe my thoughts gave you a new perspective on something. Maybe I can help you decide to eat that price tag or not, that sort of thing. Really, if the lineup was a bit more stacked with the Nintendo IP that I personally enjoy more, and the prices maybe weren't so hard to swallow, I'd probably be a lot more hyped about the Switch 2, since everything they showed me was really great. But knowing that if I decided to get this thing, I'd be dropping almost $1,000 Canadian just to play what is effectively the new Mario Kart and not much more. Either way, let me know what you think about the Switch 2 down below. Try to keep things chill though, no arguing about this price stuff. If you like this video though, I typically make retro game videos on this channel, and I hope you can join me in the next one. Feel free to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for those in the future. I am curious actually to go into more depth with the Welcome Tour game, so if I do get a Switch 2 at launch, I'll probably talk about that one. With that said, one last time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.